I've implemented these two parts of my gameplay where the players draw cards and see whoever's card is the highest. I'm going to next move on to this other one where the cards are equal and it's war. So let's add to my condition. I think that the way that I wrote my condition is that I don't need another conditional evaluation here. So my first one on line 5 is if the player rank is greater than the computer card rank. And then I have an else if, which is player rank is less than computer card rank. I really don't have any other conditions here, right? Either it's more than or less than or equal. So I don't actually need to evaluate anything here, I think. First of all, I'm just going to add a console log. And I'm going to add to the output value so that I can see the full value of both cards that are being drawn. Let's see this in the browser. Now I'm going to be looking for my equals console log. So we both got the same cards and I saw my console log. Next, I can implement this drawing card logic inside of my condition for when it's war. So that's here. And I'm going to copy paste these instructions. And turn them into JavaScript. So let me get the last instruction as well. The point here is that we're looking at a set of cards, and then the winner gets the entire set of cards. So all I need to do is make sure that I take one extra card out before I make an evaluation of the cards. And then all 4 of the cards are going to go to the winner. So the other thing here that I didn't say is that if the cards are equal, repeat war. So let's start out with a simple case where we just compare the cards, and then I'll move on to this last case where if the cards are equal. So I think that card face down just means that I'm going to take one card out of the deck and keep it in a variable. And I need one card for each player. And then the same for the face-up cards. And these face-up cards are the ones that I'm going to evaluate inside the condition. This condition is exactly the same as this condition. So I'm just going to copy the ones where I compare the 2 cards. Let's see this in the browser. Now, when the cards are equal, the program runs the other part where it draws all the cards, and we should see the evaluation in the console. This seems to work correctly. Right now, I want to be able to concentrate on the part of my program when the cards are equal. And so I want to make some changes to my card game where I can just test the part that is just war, this special condition where the cards are equal. Otherwise, I might be clicking the submit button for a while. So what I'm going to do is take out the shuffle cards, and the way that my deck function works is that all of the sets of cards are split into ranks of 1 through 13. So actually each player should have an equal deck, and they should match every time. So let's see that. So now on my first try, I should get 2 equal cards. Next, I want to give some more output to my program. So right now, when it is war, then there's no other sign that it's gone into that mode of the program. So I'm going to add to my output value. I'm going to take this and move it up here. And down here I'm going to add to it. And then I'm going to add to it inside of the war portion. The thing that I'm going to add to it is the same as the addition I made over here, but the cards are going to be different. So this time, instead of player card, it's player face up. Then I also want to add to my output value the message that the cards are equal and the current state is war. Let's see my changes. I should see the extra output in the gray box. And over here, it's actually coming out of order, and so I want to fix that. Let's go back in and rearrange my output value. So on line 38, I have this change to my output value variable that has to do with the first cards that were drawn, and now this is running after the output for war. So I'm going to move this back to where I drew the cards. I'm going to add this to my output value at that point. So let's move on to the next part of the game. The thing that I haven't implemented yet is the rest of this condition, and that's where if the cards are equal, then I repeat. So the things that I'm repeating are everything in this condition where I'm drawing cards and then I'm comparing them again. So there's a couple of different ways that I can encode this repeat with JavaScript syntax. I think the most straightforward way for me to do this is with a loop. The block of code that I want to run multiple times is all of this that draws the cards and evaluates them. So as long as I continue to draw, as the players continue to draw cards that are equal, then this whole block is going to repeat itself. So the specific syntax I'm going to use is a while loop. And we're used to while loops that repeat themselves according to a counter, a set number of times. But the actual syntax of a while loop just has to do with the fact that the block will run, the code will run, as long as the thing in between the parentheses is true. And so that's the actual case we have here, which is that I want to continue running this to continue to draw cards unless the cards are not equal. So I'm going to make a value here that stands in for that. And I'm going to evaluate this value. So obviously it needs to start true, and the loop will run. And if the cards continue to be equal, it'll continue to run. So the stuff that I want to have run is all of this, all of this stuff that draws the cards and evaluates them. So then at a certain point in my code, I need to say what causes the loop to end. And that's this part of my code, the part of the code that runs when the cards are not equal. So when the cards are no longer equal, I can change the value inside this variable to something else. And when the loop comes back around, then it's going to say, I don't want to run anymore, and continue on down the file. So the last thing I'm going to do is a console log inside of the loop. And let's run this in the browser. Now I'm going to hit the submit button, and I get an error. So this error says it's on line 28 here, and that's this line that has to do with the evaluation of the cards. So next, let's just output all the values involving this evaluation and see it in the browser. I'm outputting all the values that I'm evaluating inside of the condition, and then also the current values of the hands of the player in the computer. Let's see this in the browser. So I'm going to hit the submit button again, and I get the same error. And let's take a look at the values that I'm seeing here. So I'm seeing that the player face up variable has the value undefined inside of it. I'm seeing that both of the hands are empty. I'm going to scroll up, and I can see that this is run a number of times. I get my war loop console log. So this is pretty much, I can see that the loop is running a bunch of times. That's what all these console logs are telling me. And then at the bottom, I get these. These are the very last values that happened before I get the error. So let's talk specifically about what this error is saying. So that now this is line 37. And on line 37, I'm evaluating this condition, player.rank, playerFaceUp.rank. And my error says, cannot read property rank of undefined. And so I've already proven what the value is inside my variable. And the value is undefined. And so I think that my code on line 37 is trying to look at the key.rank for a value that's undefined. Or I'm seeing that this console log is saying that this value is the value undefined, and I'm trying to look inside it as if it were an object. So again, can it be property rank of a value that is undefined? So this is the specific mechanic of the error that I'm getting. And let's talk more about the specific reason why I'm getting this error. The other symptom that I'm seeing here is that the loop is running many times. I have 20 some odd cards in my hand, and then I can see how many times this loop is running. And eventually, I can see at the end here that both of the hands are empty. And I believe this is where the undefined value is coming from. I can see that the one iteration of the loop before that, this value had something inside of it. It had these cards inside of it. And then it was empty. And so right now my function, my loop is taking all the cards out of the arrays. And then eventually I'm going to get an error when I try to withdraw a card from an array that's empty. If I create an array and I continue to take values out of it when it's empty, the value that I'm going to get back when I call the pop function is the value undefined. And so that's the symptom that I'm seeing here in my console log. So let's go back to the code and try to fix this. So the underlying reason why I'm seeing this behavior is because actually I never get to any of these conditions. I have these in here that I said are going to stop my loop. But I currently have some code in here that is keeping the deck equal, the entire deck equal to itself. So I'm never able to stop the loop because none of this code ever runs. I can see that I never got this console log anywhere in any of these console logs. And if I look at the very beginning of my game before I've hit the submit button, then I can see that the cards in here are ordered. We did this so that we could test the war functionality.